Well, Happy New Year, everybody. It's my first video for 2019, and I hope that you guys have all had a interesting and prosperous New Year so far. I stopped doing videos before Christmas last year, and I got a little busy because my dad unexpectedly, well, I shouldn't say unexpectedly, we knew he was getting ill, but he passed away before Christmas, so I got busy with a lot of the administrative stuff that comes along with funerals and preparing, for all of that. So my year ended very badly in that regard, but then it began afresh with new optimism and a new focus on life, and really a new understanding of what Christmas is about. For those of you who are on my Facebook, Christo Bear Kalaikai, you can find me under The Magnificent, all one word, at facebook.com, The Magnificent. I posted the eulogy for my father, and a lot of people said that it changed their lives. It affected them deeply because it helped them to understand a lot of things that they were struggling with in their lives or with their fathers, and it just brought some clarity and some closure to them, and I'm glad that happened for them. But that is not the topic for this video. I just wanted to do a quick intro to let you guys know where I've been. But this video is about where I see the markets going, because what I do is I invest and I do quick economic commentaries just for educational and entertainment purposes. Really, it's more for entertainment, even though I've been really benefiting from my philosophy and my trade practices. I am not in any way licensed or qualified to give you advice nor to educate you. All I can do is really just use my experience and my own education to kind of egg you on to do your own education and to get your own experience. But like I said, we've seen the dollar rally into the end of the year. We saw the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, and we saw the markets crashing and the economy kind of starting to turn south, where businesses were going bankrupt, shutting doors, laying off workers. And my philosophy has not changed about the economy itself. Okay, so let's take them each at separate levels, right? The stock market and the economy are two different things. They are related in the psyche, in the thinking of the people that participate in both of them. But in reality, the economy is an independent factor to how much you're going to invest in a stock. And really, in reality, if you look at overall what's been going on in the economy, I'm going to lift it up because somebody's walking by and I don't want their identity in my video. But really, if you look at what's been going on in the economy, it's not good. The Trump administration is using all the same factors that Obama, Bush, all the presidents before used to make the economy seem like it's good, but it's not really good. And I just want to let people know that even though I support President Donald Trump, the economy is not good. It is not stable. It cannot be stable. If you look at the number of corporations borrowing money and how much money they've borrowed relative to their assets or income, it's close to 50% on their borrowing versus their assets. That's horrible. When you're at 50% of your borrowing to do your business, that can't end well, especially when you're borrowing and the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates. Now, something changed early in January and late December, where the Federal Reserve chairman, Jay Powell, went up and basically said to all of us that he's going to be a little bit more dovish, and maybe it would be time for them to reconsider raising interest rates. But did he say he's going to stop raising interest rates? No. He basically just made a dovish statement, and the markets bought into it, and we got more of our Santa Claus rally, which I said was coming, and which I also said that if you're seeing a rally in the marketplace, or if I see a rally in the marketplace, I like to buy things at a discount. So when the markets rally and I want to short the market, or I want to ride the market on the way down, I make sure that I wait for the markets to rally so that those short positions become cheaper. And because when the markets fall, they fall hard. Now, can the government stop the markets from falling? They can temporarily place obstacles in the way and cause the markets to jump a little bit. But the reality of it is those markets are going to fall no matter what. And they're very overvalued. There are some analysts that I listen to that say they're not overvalued, that there's some overvalued, there's some undervalued, and there's some in between. To me, all that matters are the ones that are in the indices. And that's another issue. If the stocks start to fall dramatically, the way they can stop the stock market from falling is they can rebalance their indices. In other words, they can put new assets and take out old ones that are not performing well. So there's another reason why when you short a market and it starts to fall, you want to be ready to get out of it. Now, the Federal Reserve, and you want to be able to get out of it before you can't, right? Because what will happen is if you're shorting the markets while, let's say, Apple and GE are the main companies in that Dow market or NASDAQ, and they're falling, and you don't get out while they're falling, you don't take your profits at a certain point, and they replace Apple with some new company that's innovative and is taking over market share from Apple, or another electric company or bank company that takes over, that's more stable than GE. Once they take those out, the markets may start rallying again. You didn't sell out. You're riding short, and you're getting squeezed as the markets rally against you. So you really have to pay attention, because it's the time for active management. You have to really be active in your portfolio. You don't just give your money to somebody and expect them to invest it properly for you, because they have too many guests or too many clients that they're dealing with. You're just a number. They'll probably just throw you in the market somewhere and leave you. And even if you tell them where to put you, they'll throw you in the market somewhere and leave you until you call back and tell them to take you out. Well, you might as well just manage it yourself then, if you're going to have a broker and you're going to tell that broker what to do, unless you don't have access to that market at a discount level like TD Ameritrade, where you can just go in and you can trade at discount as if you're the broker. So the other thing is the liquidity crisis issue. You're shorting the markets and everybody wants dollars, right? You may be shorting in dollar terms and making a lot more money dollar value-wise, but at some point there's going to be such a shortage of dollars that people may not even want to get involved in the short positions anymore. So you may be stuck in that position even though you're becoming profitable value-wise when the markets are dropping and you're riding them down. You don't have dollars in your hand. You have shorts in your hand. And if people want dollars, they're not going to trade you their dollars for your shorts. So, always something to consider. So, this is what I'm saying about where the markets are going. Oh, and now, one more thing before I let you guys go. The Fed has two main things that they can do. They've got the interest rates and they've got quantitative easing. What is quantitative easing? It's the traditional money printing, but they call it quantitative easing now. So they can stop raising interest rates at some point, And they may not have to cut them. They may be able to just print money and inject it directly into the economy wherever they want to, and cause it to bubble up again. So even though I feel like the markets are going to crash, which is all related to credit, whenever credit is imploding because of high interest rates, you're going to get market downturn or economic downturn, which will later on reflect in the stock market, because stock market is really a lagging indicator to me, because the banks suffer as the companies suffer, not just banks. Companies in general suffer as their revenues fall and their earnings are affected, and then they have to report that to the SEC and to their investors, and then the market reflects later what's been going on in the economy for such a long time already. So the stock market is a lagging indicator, and it is loosely connected to the economy, but they are two different things. So that's basically what I wanted to get across to you guys, and why it's a little bit more of a clarification of what's been happening. Even though I said the markets are being short, are going to be crashing at some point. There's a Santa Claus rally coming, which is a correction in a down market, because the overall trend is down. So any opposite movement is a correction. If it was a bull market and it was going up and the market dropped, that would be a correction for a bull market. But we are in a bear market for the U.S. So, and the world, basically, all because of credit, all because the world is fighting their governments, and populism is arising, and nationalism. That's another factor I really need to talk about too, because that does affect the value of currency. And in France, the Gilets jaunes movement, the yellow jacket movement, or yellow vest, they're calling them on the media to basically clip their balls. They're the yellow jackets to me, which is like hornets. They're stinging. They're stinging so much that Macron is not going to go to the Davos World Economic Forum Summit, and because he can't. There's an election coming up, and there's all these protests. Tomorrow is Saturday. All these protests are going to be happening, because they've been happening for 9 weeks now, 8-9 weeks. So France has a lot to deal with, because they don't want globalism anymore, and they're tired of the elites in the government abusing them and taxing them and putting them into giving their sovereignty away to the European Union, and putting them under restrictions and IMF loans and things like that. All the countries in European Union are starting to revolt, and especially Italy, Hungary, Poland, and then the French people. So this is very, very dangerous for Europe and the European Union and the euro. So the euro currency, I'm not saying euro currency in dollar terms, I'm saying the euro money, monetary system for the European Union is under threat. And if people see that there's no stability in Europe, you could see the euro collapse. And if the euro collapses, there are trillions and quadrillions of derivatives that tie everyone together, because they consider derivatives insurance, so they offset with offset and offset and offset and offset and offset. So like there's some that are insuring against a euro collapse. There's some that are insuring against a euro rise, because it's the mentality of hedging that has taken us into the new world of derivatives. And then you also have all these computer algorithms that are trading, where they see a trend and they move that momentum further than it really should go. So we live in really, really dangerous times, and it really requires that you be alert and educated so that you can survive in this. Passivity is going to get you robbed and killed. And so we're seeing also in the U.S., they're trying to take Democrats are trying to take guns away from us. So they want us to be passive and rely on the government again, just like the French government wants their people to be passive and rely on the government. And then the government brings in all these foreigners that are raping and murdering the people, and they institute all these taxes on the people, The people are just so oppressed there that it's over. It's Les Miserables all over again. The revolution is occurring, and it's the Gilets jaunes movement. And the Gilets jaunes is spreading all around the world, all the other countries where people are tired of globalism and they want nationalism and populism. They are throwing out their governments, putting on that yellow jacket, and they're moving against them. And that is dangerous for currencies. So even though I subscribe to the dollar milkshake theory, at some point, and even Brent Johnson, who developed the dollar milkshake theory, said this, at some point, even though the dollar rallies as they raise interest rates and as they control the value of it, at some point governments start to use that to prop up markets, so they have to print money, quantitative easing. The petrodollar is done, so people don't need to buy oil using the dollar, so that's quantitative easing, because if you've got dollars and you don't need to use them anymore, you can give them back. You can put them right into the marketplace and flood the marketplace. And if people lose faith in the government, your currency of that country is very similar to a stock certificate. Very similar. Your bonds also are like being a shareholder in the government by giving money to the government and them paying you. It's a debt instrument, but what's not these days. But it's almost like stock equity in that government. So if you lose faith in the government, the management of that country or that company, you may dump the shares, which is the dollar or the treasuries, the euro if you're in Europe, or if you're not in Europe, So I think we could potentially see a euro collapse. We could see the euro currency lose significant value, and as a result the dollar can lose significant value as well later on, because in the end I think the rest of the world is starting to lose faith in government in general. It doesn't matter even if you elected the person in government and they're doing everything you wanted. You may want to dump the currency still. And so we may see a commodity run that's coming like we haven't seen before. But first, I think we're going to get that crash going. And the other thing about the Gilets jaunes, yellow jacket movement, is they're conspiring to create a bank run in France by taking all of their money out simultaneously from the banking system, because the banking system is fractional reserve. If you don't understand fractional reserve banking, you really need to start educating yourself on fractional reserve, because everything is fractional reserve these days. Everything is fractional reserve. So, but in particular, currency and deposits in the banking system. So when you put in, let's say you put in $100 in the banking system, in your savings account, they will keep 90% of that money in your savings account, but they'll loan out 10%, and they'll pay you interest, a little bit of interest, like 0.001 or whatever interest, so that they can lend out that 10% and make money off it at anywhere from 7 to 50%. Who knows what they're lending it out. Credit cards can get real crazy too, if you're looking at that's how they're lending it out. And then if you have a checking account, they keep 80% on reserve and 20% they lend out. Of course, the reserve requirements for the banking industry changes. So if the Federal Reserve lowers the reserve requirements for the bank, they may not keep that 80, they may not keep that 90, depending upon whether it's just checking or savings. They may lower the reserve requirements so that they're actually keeping maybe 10 in the bank and sending out the rest as a loan. So let's say you put $100 in and you only have 10 cents left in your bank account because they loaned out 90% of the money, and then you want to take out 100% of your $100 bill back out of the bank. You can't get it back if everybody were to do it once, because there is no $100 bill in your bank. You only have a fraction of it left. It's fractional reserve, right? So the way the banks hide that is Ponzi scheme style. They will give you the 10 cent, and then they'll go to another account where there's some money left where they're not using it, and where they can take, as long as they leave that 10 cent reserve into that other person's bank account, they can take that 90% out and put it into your account so that you get 100% of your dollar back. It's a Ponzi scheme. Really, that's what fractional reserve banking is. But honestly, from my perspective, I don't see a better way to do banking in order to make things function so smoothly as they do. I think it's a great philosophy. I'm not actually against Ponzi schemes like that unless they don't, they're just stealing from someone to give to somebody else, and ultimately you're getting less and less of a payday as you come in later and later in the organization. That to me is a bad Ponzi scheme. That to me is fraud. But there are Ponzi schemes where if you're the first in, you should get paid. If you do the first amount of work, you should get paid. So I'm okay with Ponzi schemes because everything is a Ponzi scheme, right? Your corporate ladder is a Ponzi scheme. You get in first and you move up the ladder first and you get into like management, you get paid like bank. You just join at entry level, you're going to make minimum wage. Makes sense. So Ponzi schemes are not all bad, but when they're using, let's say you had to pay into your job and you don't make a paycheck until somebody else after you joins the business and works for it, and their pay pays your pay, that kind of Ponzi scheme is no good. But as long as they're generating business and income, that's fine. So I'm okay with a fractional reserve banking system to a certain extent. What they're doing now with the derivatives is just nuts and scary. So just be prepared. So if you heard me before only talking about crash, this is my overall perspective. Crash is coming. Can we get a short-term correction in the bear market? Absolutely. How high can it go? Can it go almost all the way back up to records? Absolutely. There's nothing I say that will stop that or can stop that. It's a possibility. Is that absolutely going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. But I use the strength of the market when it rallies for me to sell it short because I think it's going down. And so far, that's been a very, very attractive proposition for me. I now think that commodities are entering a bull market soon. So they're going to be going up, whichever up is to you. I don't know if it's going to reverse or what, based upon what social media platform I post this on. So commodities, I would do the opposite. When they fall in price, I will buy them, right? When the markets rally, I will sell them. When the commodities fall, I will buy them. So it's a little bit weird thinking, but in reality, it's all buying, right? A short position, writing down, is an asset. So I want to buy it when the price goes down, right? And a commodities position, if the price goes down, to ride it up, I want to buy it when the price goes down. No matter what, I want to buy it when the price goes down. So that is where most of your money is made. It is in the buying of value that most of your money is made. It is not in the buying and waiting it for it to go up and then selling it, because that's speculatory. Speculative. You don't know if it's going to go up or not. But if it goes down significantly, and look at commodities. Are they ever going to stop using commodities? No. You look at every single thing out there. A car is made out of tons of commodities: rubber, aluminum, plastic, steel, silver, copper. I mean, there is a crap load of commodities out there in the world, and I just mentioned a car. So are they ever going to stop making cars, or stop making buildings, or stop making roads, or stop making gasoline, or stop feeding people? No, those hard physical assets are always going to be there. So when a market like that crashes and you see it, like for years it's been going like this, and it's starting to do this, this tells me we're coming close to a bottom. Can we go down further? Absolutely we can, but I like this on the chart better than this, right? So I'm not going to buy on this. I'm going to buy on this, and it may do a little bit more of this. I'll buy more. And then when it does this, I'll wait, and start selling right about here. So this is my basics of technical analysis, because the reality of technical analysis is that I only use my technical analysis to show me where a potential buy and sell is. I don't use it to predict the future, because you cannot predict the future. I've said this many times. There are too many big factors like government and whales with lots of money that can suddenly affect a market one way or the other, depending upon what they do. And you won't know it because you're looking at the everyday patterns of this, and this is just everyday people trading every day. But that whale may be hidden in there. That government may be hidden in there. They're not doing anything until one day they decide to do something, and it may be big. It's like, let's sell all million shares of Apple right here. Boom. You didn't see that coming because you were looking at the everyday stuff. A lot of wealthy people don't do things every day. They place their money and forget it. They set it and forget it, right? And everything is automated. They have like a limit order ready to liquidate their shares when that price is hit, or they have a limit order to buy shares when that price is hit, and could be a significant amount. You don't see that coming. It's automated. Or they have a computer algorithm ready with its parameters, knowing that when this chart hits a certain place or certain parameters are hit, it will execute a trade. It's very similar to a limit order, but you have now a computer actively doing it with artificial intelligence. So this is the world we live in. Limit orders and artificial intelligence, where everything is automated, and you need to learn to automate your business as well. So what I do is I do the same thing. I'll look at charts, right? I still do the head and shoulders patterns where, right, if this is the neckline, right, and a chart completes a shoulder and it drops below the neckline right here, you can expect this same size reverse on the downside, right? But if it doesn't and it continues up, most likely the trend is up. That's a very simple chart pattern, head and shoulders. It's a classic, and it tends to be still consistent to this day, minus the unseens, like the whales and the governments. Also, your descending and ascending wedges, right? That will tell you of certain reversals and movements, or your bear flags or your bull flags, right? I still use those technical indicators with the RSIs and all that stuff. Learn it and use it to help you enter and exit markets, but don't use them to predict markets. It's a subtle difference, right? Because no one knows the future. If you can see a trend going this way, the best thing you can do is now apply your geopolitical economics to the situation, right? If I see the dollar rallying, the trend is up. Now, could that continue? Sure, it could. The charts may show that it could still continue. There's like a little shoulder that formed here, and then a head, and then a little shoulder, and now it's past the neckline. Now it could continue higher. The head length could flip and could continue higher that much, but now apply the politics, the geopolitics to it. Would the government want the dollar that high? It would slow down economic activity. So even though the chart is telling you to buy high, you may want to actually sell into that strength, depending upon what's going on in the world. So being an investor requires you to know multiple disciplines: technical analysis, economics, politics, strategy, war, military, right? So that you can figure out what's going on, diplomacy, so you can figure out what's going on. In a way, you have to be a state leader. You are the leader of your own country. That's what I'm going to make this video about. You are the leader of Yourville, right? I, Christopher, am the leader of Christopherville, or Christopherstan, whether I want it to be a communist nation and technically it is communist, because at my level, I control it, and I'm not going to let anybody else control my life as much as I can, right? That's very communist, and that's where I believe communism works, on the family level. It works on the individual level and the family level. Anything beyond that, where you're dealing with other people, that's where communism needs to go out the window, unless you're talking charity, in which communism is not really charitable. It's because it's controlling. So to me, communism is only works in your family, right? I pay for my kids' meals, their electricity. I pay for everything for them without expecting anything back from them. That's true communism. But anything outside of that, my neighbor, no, dude, they got to pay me if they want my sugar. I may lend you sugar if you really need it, but man, I got my own family to feed. So don't be like leeching off of my stuff. So anyway, you are the leader of Uville, and you need to think like a government official now. You need to see what's going on in the rest of the world, because we're all connected. Like, how does this border wall in the United States affect my country of Christopher Stan or Christopherville, right? Or Christopher something. You know, and it affects it greatly. If they put a border wall up, great. Keeps all the criminals out. My life is safer. Keeps all the people who want to just work under the table, get paid more than us because they don't get taxed because they're not documented. And then they send that money back home so it doesn't benefit our economy locally. The wall will stop that too. It will stop the brain drain. It'll stop the illegal flow of drugs in. It will stop the health hazards of people who don't follow our immigration law, so they don't follow our health standards either. So they're bringing in influenza, leprosy, all kinds of diseases that they're not bothering to check. They're not bothering to make sure that everything's good. I mean, you just look at it. These little kids dying at the border when they're captured because they've traveled all these miles with their parents. You don't know if it was disease. You don't know if it was just the parents didn't take care of it. First of all, what parent brings your kid all the way up that way to a border and endangers them? I wouldn't. The only way I would do that is if, you know, it's to escape our government. And I can understand that, but, you know, why not go to the next safest country, which is Mexico, and stay there? No. So they're not fleeing their government. They're fleeing, they're coming for benefits, actually. So anyway, if you can see all those things that affect other countries, you can see how it affects you, and you will make decisions as the leader of your household, of your country, of your portfolio, much better and much wiser. So you'll have to master multiple disciplines. So it means you have to be very careful about taking sides on politics, because you have to really consider, where do I stand? And observe who's doing what, who should be benefiting who and how. So anyway, long first video. I usually try to keep them within like 5, 10, 15 minutes. I doubled it this time, so I'm gonna cut it there. Expect more videos from me on different topics, because a lot of what I'm saying is just gonna repeat unless there's unique things that are going on. So I wish you happy trading, a prosperous future, but prepare for some disaster, because it's coming. When it's coming, I don't know, but start preparing in the good times. So when the rallies are going, get your plans together. All right, take care. Oh, by the way, I'm going to do a new gun review because I purchased 2 new firearms. I've never fired 45 ACP before, and I think I'm going to go 45 ACP plus P, but I've never used a firearm with a decocker, so I purchased 2. I purchased a Springfield 1911A, Springfield Armory, and a Sig Sauer. I love Sig Sauers. Ever since I was little, I touched one and it fit in my hand perfect. I always wanted a Sig, but Sig started releasing new firearms that don't function properly, so I got scared of it. But I purchased a classic P220 carry Sig firearm in 45 ACP, and it feels great in my hand. I have not fired either one of them yet because I was waiting for the Cal Dross and background check to go through. And now that that's all complete, I'm going to start taking it to the range. I may do a video at the range just so you guys can see it, and I'll do my own review of it. But I need to familiarize myself with the functioning of the firearm because it's got a decocker, and I've never used a decocker before. And I want to make sure I don't do it improperly on video and accidentally discharge the firearm or injure myself. So I need to familiarize myself with their functions, and once I do that, I'll take it to the range and we will do a video, and I'll do a review of it. And I also purchased some new flashlights, which are ultraviolet bulbs or lenses, and I'm going to do a review on that too for like low light scenarios for military and law enforcement, and for preppers who, if you feel like someone's in your house and you don't want them to be able to see you as well, you use low light, like infrared type lighting, where you can still see where you are immediately, but they don't see your bulb from around the corner, and it prepares you to take them out, right? So those are things that we can talk about, because I haven't done an EDC carry, everyday carry video for a long time, and I haven't done a bug out bag video. I think I'm going to start doing those things to help people prepare for what's coming, in addition to just the investing. So anyway, if you like my stuff, it's your first time on my channel and you like it, please hit that thumbs up like button. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure, most importantly though, that you share my videos. Also hit the little gray bell. Make sure it has the little things around it on YouTube, so that you get notifications when I post a new video. But most importantly, share. Word of mouth is the most beneficial form of advertising, and I'm not going to pay for advertising for this, because honestly, I don't make any money off of this. I do it for the benefit of my society and my country and for my family. And hopefully my kids will watch some of these videos and learn stuff from them when I'm dead and gone and they're older, and hopefully their YouTube hasn't purged them from the cloud or from their servers. So this is why I do it. And if I can become wealthy and famous over it, that's gravy on top. But you can help with that process. But most importantly, the reason why I want you to share is I want other people to learn this stuff. Because the more of us that there are, the less of a chance that you're going to go to the ballot box and vote for someone dumb who's going to take all our rights, and you're not going to realize it because you were stupid. I want you to be educated so that you make proper decisions. You see how things affect us when the Democrats want to take our guns. You may not like guns, but the mere fact of freedom is that you have a choice. You can choose to use them, or you can choose not to use them. If you remove the choice from that factor, from that argument, you are no longer free. You are forced by fascism to do one or the other. You can't be forced to buy a gun, and you shouldn't be forced to not use a gun. You should have the choice. So if you don't want to use a gun, I'm all for it. I support your right to not want to use a firearm. That's great. But also support my right to choose that I want to use a firearm to protect my family. So those are issues that I also may do a video on. Anyway, getting real long. Love you guys. I'm in need of doing these. Oh, my job schedule's changed too, so I'm not going to be able to put out videos like I used to as easily, because I work night shift now. So there's no light and I have no time to do things. So my videos, I'm going to try to do them during the daytime, but they're going to probably be shorter and a bunch of different topics as well. So, all right. Love you. Take care. Peace.